I'm making this video because YouTube Analytics says people are searching for this topic, and I want to share what I've worked out over the years. But straight up top, I want to say that this is a skill like any other. Anyone can develop it. People who say that you have to be born funny or you can't teach funny are full of it. I look at those people like I look at a rich kid taking over their dad's business and then giving out business advice. They don't understand how they got where they got. They hate the thought that it might just have been unexamined luck, so instead of addressing any of that, they bluster. You can learn to be funny. You should learn it. It's basically just learning to see joy and then sharing that with other people. If you work on it, you might just f around and enjoy your life a little. Let's get started. Now, I don't know for sure the state of mind of people asking this question. Maybe you guys can tell me in the comments. Is the person asking how to make other people laugh more or how to laugh more themselves? My guess is it's both, so that's how I'm going to approach it. First, let's talk about how to laugh more yourself. It'll really help to have an underlying sense of joy, to see the world as a fundamentally beautiful place and people as fundamentally good and worthwhile. I realize this is a big ask. I struggle with it myself. Even if life is doing its level best to teach you that the world is cruel and people are even more cruel, if you want to be funny, then what you're asking for is to be a merchant of joy. You need to be able to recognize it or you won't be able to give it away. If you're not able to see life that way currently, I think that's an area to work on with people you trust. Friends, a therapist, religious leaders in your community, whomever. If you are a very closed off person because you have been hurt or you're currently dealing with a lot of anger, I know what those times are like. It's not your imagination. It will be harder to laugh and harder to be funny. But the place you're in doesn't have to last forever. There can be better days. It might suck to get to them, but that's the direction you gotta go. You might try all the usual low-hanging fruit in terms of self-care. Are you exercising, drinking water, keeping your place clean, getting decent sleep? I don't want to sound like your comedy dad, but that kind of stuff matters. If you're wondering how to be funnier so that potential romantic partners will like you more, my number one piece of advice would be to strive to make everyone around you laugh for the sheer joy of spreading joy. Not simply because you're thinking in the back of your mind, me want touch butt. Be like a ball of light everywhere you go. People will like you more, they'll invite you around more, and you will have more romantic opportunities. Do not do this the way that I did when I was younger, which is to say, don't take it too far. You know, for a long time, I needed at all times to be the funniest person in every room, regardless of the consequences. People can tell when you are that needy. When that happens, people will laugh when you're on, but they still won't want to connect with you more deeply because they can smell that neediness. It took me a long time to stop playing that game. This is uncomfortable, but I will also say that the better you look, the more people will laugh with you. I used to weigh about 325 pounds. I used to absolutely kill myself all the time to get laughs. I mean, think like Chris Farley type energy without Chris Farley type talent. When I got into running and bikes, I lost over 100 pounds, and it blew my mind how much easier it was to get laughs. I mean, I would say absolute throwaway jokes, not even trying to sell them, and random people would bust a gut. I know how hard it is to lose weight, and everyone's journey is different, but if you're as heavy as I was, and you notice that you're working your ass off to get a few chuckles, and your slimmer friends are able to repeat your material and kill with it, well, I know that life. I'm sorry it's this way, but I don't think it serves anyone to pretend that that dynamic doesn't exist. I suspect that some of the people asking this question, how to improve sense of humor, might be on the spectrum. And I want to say, if that's the case, I know how to be funny, but I am not trained in what you guys go through. I'm going to try to make some guesses and do my best to be inclusive based on what I think including you means, but please forgive me if I say something wrong. I welcome your comments. Okay, improving your sense of humor. First, let's talk about what you need to be funny yourself. And I think the most important, most fundamental thing you need is you need to care about people. You're going to have to understand them, what they want, what scares them, what they're going through. In person, you're going to need to be able to do what they call reading a room. Then you have to navigate that data to create or release tension for that person in that room in a positive way. In other words, this is a game of communication and social interaction, which are the precise areas where some people with certain conditions have roadblocks. I don't think that means that you won't be able to be funny. My position is that anyone can learn to be funnier. In fact, all things considered, I think a well-handled roadblock can be turned into a strength. You might not be as fast on your feet as people who are better at communication and social interaction, but if you have the drive to write stuff, test it, and then keep it in your mind ready to go, you can still be miles funnier than most people. Lots of pro comedians have lots of different emotional and cognitive issues, for better or worse, so it can certainly be done. If you're someone who has emotional trauma in your history, as I do, you might also find it hard to connect with people in a positive way. That will be a roadblock for you as a comedian. And I think that's a great thing to address with a therapist, your trusted religious leaders, etc. Make a start on working on that stuff so that when you open your mouth, some joy can come out. That's what we are as comedians, merchants of joy. If you're saying jokes that sometimes get laughs, but also often put you at odds with the person that you're saying the joke about, it's probably because you've understood how to read people, but you lack empathy for them. To me, this is like wanting to be a painter without learning how to draw first. And to be clear, I want to be a good painter, and I do not want to practice my drawing. But you have to have the fundamentals. If you have the joke writing ability, but you don't have that underlying empathy, it can lead to the kind of humor that you get from your typical narcissist or bully. Hopefully that's not what you want out of comedy or out of your life. By my standards, if you learn to be funny, but you can't do it without being cruel or shocking, you haven't reached the final level. Many, many, many people get to that level and stop because learning the last bit is scary and it's work. Lots of very wealthy, famous comedians are here. I don't respect their money. Don't get me wrong, I want it, but I don't respect it. What I respect is craft, and that means being able to recognize trouble, steer around it, and still deliver the funny. If you can't steer, or worse, you make not steering your persona, I think that's lazy. On this journey, you might have to apologize sometimes. I highly recommend it. Even if you have the best intentions, sooner or later, you're gonna say something that carries a meaning that you didn't see or you didn't understand. Whether you meant to or not, you will cause offense. If that happens, you're usually better off just apologizing than trying to stonewall or double down. It's okay to make mistakes, not okay to be willfully ignorant. When you know what people want or what they're going through, you can make them laugh by referencing those wants and needs and releasing tension somehow. Making yourself the butt of the joke helps keep the heat off other people. You don't want to do that too much, but it can help. The second thing you need to be funny is a willingness to look foolish. You're going to miss sometimes, and it's going to feel bad when you do. I'm not talking about missing and offending people. I'm talking about saying something clearly intended to be funny and nobody cares at all. If you think that having people mad at you is bad, wait until you feel an utter void of uncaring open underneath your feet. I know that void too well. You can also learn ways to deal with it when you swing and miss, like going meta. And going meta just means doing material about your material, saying something like, well, that joke really didn't work.
That was a really good joke that you guys just let all the parks. Oof.
But if you're really trying to get funnier, you also just kind of get used to jokes not working sometimes. That's just part of the game. You win some and you don't win others. The next thing you need is to write jokes a lot. Every time you check your phone when you're standing in line or on the toilet or riding on a bus or whatever, instead of looking at socials, write a joke. What could you have said in previous interactions that would have been funny? What's a story you could tell about yourself? Can you make that story funnier? I have lots more videos on the process of creativity and writing jokes, so give those a look for more granularity on these topics. If there's something that you don't see that you'd like to, just drop me a comment. Once you have jokes, you test them. Friends, coworkers, whoever will listen. If you want to do stand-up comedy, you certainly can. If you say the joke and someone laughs, that's a data point for you. This person laughed at that joke in this moment. What can you learn? Stick with it. Work on being an easier laugh yourself. Keep striving to be a merchant of joy. If you're honest about this process, people will be cool with you even when you screw it up. And like I said, even if learning how to do this takes a long time, you might just fuck around and enjoy your life. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, like and subscribe, and maybe jump on the Patreon if you want to help me make more. And if you want to talk about comedy writing with people who are trying to do it in a constructive way, we also have a Discord channel.